The first lesson of grade 11 history is the Industrial Revolution. Before finding the meaning of the word Industrial Revolution, it is better to focus the attention towards the revolution. The word revolution can be defined as the sudden changes that are taken place in a specific field within a short period of time as the revolution. The revolution can be taken place in the field of politics, sometimes in the field of religion, or any other field. We have some evidences to prove about the revolutions that took place in the field of politics, especially when we focus the attention towards the world history. The political revolutions have been taken place in France, the French Revolution, and American Revolution, Russian Revolution. You can study them, the seventh lesson of the same book. However, the revolution can be taken place not only in the field of politics. Here, this lesson, you have to study the revolution that took place in the field of industry. Sometimes the revolution can be taken place in the religious field. However, briefly, you can define the word revolution as I told you earlier. The sudden changes that are taken place within a short period of time in a specific field can be called as a revolution. Right. Now let's focus the attention towards the Industrial Revolution. If it is so, we can say the sudden changes took place in the field of industries. That can be considered as the Industrial Revolution. So we know that in the ancient time, the people, they did their day-to-day activities using the human labor. But the thing is that because of some reasons, the people try to do those activities using the machines. So that sudden changes were taken place in the field of industries. That can be considered as the Industrial Revolution. According to the question given here, what is Industrial Revolution? The broad changes or vast changes created by producing goods with the help of machines instead of manual labor is termed as the Industrial Revolution. It means earlier the activities or the industries have been done taking the assistance of the human labor. But in later period, the people focus their attention towards the production of the goods using machines. So that is introduced as the Industrial Revolution. However, in this lesson, we focus our attention towards the revolution, Industrial Revolution that took place in Europe. We know that the Industrial Revolution have been taken place. The Industrial Revolution has been taken place during the latter part of the 18th century. The history says us the Industrial Revolution started during the latter part of the 18th century in Britain. There were several reasons that affected to originate to begin the Industrial Revolution in Britain. We will discuss them later one by one. However, the Industrial Revolution that originated in Britain, limited for that country for about half century. It started during the latter part of the 18th century, and the Industrial Revolution limited to Britain for about another half century. However, during the time of the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution started to trickle into other European countries, such as France, Portugal, Spain, Holland, Poland, Italy, right? So the Industrial Revolution started to trickle, started to move even to other European countries. And after that, the Industrial Revolution affected to other countries in the world, such as Asian countries and African countries, American countries. So after that, the Industrial Revolution became a main fact affected to the whole world. So when we consider the main reason that caused to originate the Industrial Revolution was the trading activities. The trading activities can be considered as the main reason that affected to start the Industrial Revolution in Europe. We know that during the 18th century, not by the 18th century, most of the European countries, they had engaged in a competition to establish the colonies, especially the European countries. They came to Asian countries and tried to establish their colonies. We know that the Britain was known as the kingdom that the sun never sets. In Sinhala we called Hiruna Pasina Adirajya, the kingdom where the sun never sets. Because Britain possessed a number of colonies in American continent, African, and as well as Asian countries. Even the other European countries, they had maintained colonies. However, with the establishment of the colonies, the Industrial Revolution reached to other countries in the world. Then let's focus the attention to the question, why the Industrial Revolution started for the first time in Britain. Here, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution began towards the latter part of the 18th century in Britain. So there were several other European countries. Leaving all those European countries, the Industrial Revolution started for the first time in Britain. If it is so, Puti, there must be some reasons why the Industrial Revolution started for the first time in Britain. Let's see the factors one by one. Why the Industrial Revolution started in Britain for the first time. The first one, Puti, a wealthy class who was created who could invest money on industries. During that time in Britain, it created a wealthy class, a rich group, those who earn wealth by doing trading activities. So they had the ability to invest money on profitable business activities. And not only that, they invest their money on industries. Not only that, it increased the population. There was a rapid growth in the population. it increased the population. Even that can be considered as a reason caused for the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in Britain. When it increased the population, on the other hand, it increased the demand for the goods. And it became a challenge for the producers to produce their goods. Because it is very clear, when it increased the population, usually we know that it happens, it increased the demand for the goods. However, the producers, they produce those goods using the traditional methods. They use the human labor, not the machines. With that, they face much difficulties to fulfill the required demand. They could not fulfill the required demand. The other thing, it developed the intelligent or intellectual renaissance that took place in Europe in 14th and 15th centuries. It is related to the renaissance that took place in Europe. We know that 1453 AD, the city Constantinople, the main trading city Constantinople, that was invaded by the Ottoman Turks, 1453 AD. During that time, the educated people, those who lived in the city, and not only that, it is said in the history, there were valuable books which belonged to Greek and Roman civilization in the libraries in the city. So they collected those books and they fled to other European countries. There, they started to read these books and absorb the knowledge that mentioned in those books and use that knowledge in their day-to-day activities. It means they started to use that knowledge practically. That goes for the development of the knowledge. So that is called intellectual revival or intellectual renaissance. The intellectual renaissance influence for the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. The other thing, Britain was a country full of natural resources, minerals, easy availability of natural resources. Even that caused for the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in Britain. And as I told you earlier, Britain was a country that possessed a number of colonies. That's why the country was called as the kingdom where the sun never set, Hirunobasina Adiraj. It possessed a number of colonies. So Britain could gain the assistance of those colonies. The Britain could gain raw materials from those colonies. And not only that, the Britain could use those colonies as a market to sell their finished production. In order to sell their finished production, the colonies were used as markets. The other thing, encroaching movement. Encroaching movement means the rich people, if not the rich landowners, they bought or they annex the lands of the poor people and created mega scale farms, which is called as the encroaching movement. So the encroaching movement influence for the Industrial Revolution that took place in Britain. The other factor, when we discuss about the society or the social background in Britain, than the other countries, Britain possesses a pre-social environment. The people had been given the freedom to develop themselves. There were no hindrances. But when we consider some other countries, they practice a caste system. Sometimes the differences are they are based on religion. But in Britain, the people, they enjoy the freedom. They had the freedom. If one possesses the ability, that one is given the opportunity to develop his life. So because of that, Pute, the people try to create new ideas because of the pre-social environment. And even the government provided the assistance. It started new banks and financial organizations. The banks, financial organization came forward to provide loan facilities to the people or to the investors, those who invest money on profitable business activities. And the political stability. Political stability means that the permanent or stable political background was there. That is greatly influenced for the development of the country. The kingship was not changed within a short period of time. It prevailed for a long period of time. It means the stable political background was there. In such a situation, in such a background, the development has been taken place. The other thing, with the decline of the city Constantinople, some other countries developed their own trade centers. The London is one of them. During that time, the city London in Britain became the center of economical activities. So these factors greatly influenced to begin the Industrial Revolution for the first time in Britain. However, the Industrial Revolution can be discussed under main three headings or under main three sections. First one, textile industry, iron and steel industry, and coal industry. Right. We will discuss them one by one separately. The next session.